Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Lindsey Wilson Athletics. My name is Joel Snyder, and joining me on the program today is the Blue Raider head volleyball coach Jacob Hepp. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Coach, this past weekend, you and your team got on the court for the first time. You had your first road trip of the season. Given all the practices that have led up to this point, how did it feel to finally see your team on the floor, and what did you see? What did you like?
Yeah, coaching is so little really about getting on the court and being able to do volleyball. There's a lot of administration things, lots of emails sent, lots of videos watched. So actually being able to get out on the court with them is incredible. It was great. We had a really strong spring when I came in February, March, and being able to see the players get out there and compete against some of the best teams in the country at our level right now. We played 3 of the top 20 teams right now. Bellevue finally at number 12 or 16, 14. We played Northwestern, who's number 2 right now, very good team, and then Montana Tech, who's also right up there, and they were very good. Avila, who we played first, very, very strong team. Trish Sadek at Bellevue doesn't invite just any team up to that tournament, so it was awesome to get up there and see how we're going to compare to other teams who have been up there, who have been at the top of our division for a long time.
You talk about coming into this program and stepping in as the head coach in February. When we think about head coaches, sometimes we don't see them come in until the summer or the fall, and they don't get a chance to really meet the team and get started until the fall. But in your case, you had an entire spring's worth of practices and some scrimmages and whatnot, and that opportunity to meet the girls. So what advantage, if any, do you think that gave you, those extra months there in the spring?
Yeah, it was great. I loved, like I said, being able to do a spring where you're not as inundated with so many games in a week. You can take time to practice during the week for maybe 2 or 3 before you have a tournament and get on the court and play against another team. So building skills, building teamwork, and really trying to build a culture as well. Being the 3rd coach in 3 years has its own difficulties as well. But the kids have responded really well to new expectations, new things that we're trying to do with them. So in the middle of the spring, it was a little bit harder because you're doing so many things. You're not only practicing with the team, you have games, you're trying to recruit as well, so you're out of town for that. A lot of movement in the coaching world usually goes through, at least volleyball-wise, usually late December, once tournaments are done and new coaches get hired there. So being in February, I felt a little bit behind the 8 ball, and it was a little bit of a whirlwind when we got in here for sure, but it was awesome to have those months, before the fall started to get to know the team.
And something our fans may not know, or they may remember you from your time as assistant coach here back in 2016, and that was your start collegiately as a head or as a coach. And what brought you back to Lindsey, or when you saw this opportunity as a head coach, why did you jump at it? Because the fact that you were an assistant and now you come back almost, I don't mean to make you feel old, but almost 10 years later to be a head coach, there had to have been maybe something about this school, this area that said, yeah, I want to come back and be the head coach. So,
yeah, absolutely. It was my start, and it's something cool that I get to tell recruits. I started my collegiate journey here with Andy Cavins being the head coach here. He was a phenomenal coach to work under. Pretty strict. Pretty heavy when it comes to the workload he gave his students, but it paid off. When I was here 8 years ago, we finished in the Elite 8 of the National Championship tournament, and then, as you know, won the National Championship the year later. One thing that I loved about Lindsey Wilson is the people. So being able to come back and seeing so many people who are familiar faces from 8 years ago was just... There's something about Lindsey Wilson that kept them here for so long. So being able to go into a program that I'm already kind of familiar with, Willis was the AD when I was here before. Chris Wells was the associate athletic director and in charge of SID stuff. I went into the cafeteria during two-a-days, and one of the ladies serving remembered me from 8 years ago. Hey, Coach, you look so familiar. So it was just awesome to come to a place that is so welcoming, so inviting, there is still pressure there. There's always going to be pressure, and you want to win. And Willis and Chris and everybody in the athletics department wants you to win and will give you everything that you need to try to enable that to happen. So I think more than the location, more than Columbia, Kentucky, it's the people really who brought me back.
So you mentioned the expectations of winning, and I want to go off of that a little bit into your style of your coaching or your methods of coaching, because I wonder, how do you feel that the team has kind of bought into your style of coaching? Because you mentioned it earlier, for some of these girls, you're the third different head coach that they've had in their entire career here at Lindsey. So what do you see in them and how they're buying into your style and learning differently compared to the other coaches?
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting question. We are outnumbered on our roster, international to domestic kids, 10 internationals and 9 domestics. So part of it is them buying into my system. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I've coached in the Ohio Valley region for a while. Even I went outside the Ohio Valley region. I was still with Todd Garvey at Jacksonville State, so still Louisville native, still bringing a very high defensive mindset to the game of volleyball. We're known for having phenomenal DSs, even hitters that we have will go play college and be liberos. So very high-minded on defense. How do we stop balls from coming across the net? How do we dig them when there are tough swings? Volleyball is a unique sport in that defense can actually win you games. You know, I know basketball coaches are like, oh, defense can win championships. Well, you don't score points in basketball if you play great defense. You get the ball back, similar to soccer. But in volleyball, if you get a stuff block or you serve aces, you're getting points. So part of it, like I said, domestically, the kids there buying into the system, but also me kind of bridging the gap in between what our international students are used to in terms of the expectations and the discipline that we're putting in. I think we've found a really good balance right now to where we are able to push those kids a little bit further than they have been in the past.
Coach, real quick, last question. I want to talk about the roster just real briefly. A lot of veterans on this team. I know you weren't coaching the team last year, but there's only one freshman on this roster. So that's 17 girls who were on this team last year who are back this year. How much more comfortable did that make you kind of coming into the head coaching role, knowing that you had all those veterans who had been here and know the game and have played here?
Yeah, that's kind of a two-sided coin. You have we have 9 seniors on the team, which is incredible because you do have that senior leadership already there. You have people who are responsible, who can be held accountable. But you also have those juniors and seniors who have grown up and have played for 3 or 4 years in a system where the culture that we're bringing in might be a little bit different. So there's a little bit of headbutting into different expectations that I might bring in that either were different last year or just weren't there last year. So I love the upperclassmen that we have. Our junior and senior class is super, super strong. So I will absolutely miss those guys when they're gone. But players like Laura Denesi, who the sole freshman on the team, had a huge impact this past weekend against top 20 teams, and we expect her to really be this new class. One of my first recruits when I got here, and then the class of 2025, we're just looking to be stronger than ever.
Coach, appreciate your time with me this morning, or today. I wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, and hope to
Thank you.
See you play soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Joel.